1, 2. Just want to make sure. Is this thing on? Well, welcome, gamers, to another exciting episode of A Gamer's Guide to Productivity with your host, Nico Pengin. Today, we're diving deep into the realm of cognitive enhancement, unlocking or the secrets that can supercharge your in game performance and turbocharge your decision making abilities. Get ready to level up your cognitive skills and dominate your favorite games like never before, as well as in real life. For those that may be new, that may be joining elsewhere, A Gamer's Guide to Productivity enables gamers to improve their in real life skills with the transfer of skills from games, essentially. That's what this podcast is all about. And I am your host, Nico Pengin. Today is a solo session, so we do not have guests. We just have myself. And if you are somebody that is witnessing this live, or if you see this later on the at Nico Pengin on YouTube, feel free to comment what you liked, what you didn't like, any tips on improvement or any feedback. Without further ado, in the first segment, we're going to be discussing and unlocking focus as the primary target. Because picture this: you're in the midst of an intense gaming session, and every single move matters, every single pixel matters. And because every single move and every single pixel matters, how do you maintain your unwavering attention? Very important to think about, because when you are playing in a game, when you are taking a test, when you are doing something that requires your absolute utmost focus and attention, and any single break of concentration can be the difference between an A and a B. It can be the difference between you landing a headshot or you getting headshotted. It could be the difference for you getting a double, triple, or quadra kill in a competitive game, as well as you just being the other person to feed to an enemy champion or whatever game you're playing. And so, what are things that can be done to improve your concentration and focus? Well, personally, I'm not the super duper individual, but based off of my experience and based off of the reading acumen and amount of articles that I've read, I've come to learn that to stay present within the moment, one, before doing an activity, have a reason as to what you're doing, why you're doing, when you're going to be doing it, for how long you're going to be doing it for. So that way you don't just boot up the computer and start playing a game, or boot up the computer and just start doing homework. You do it with a purpose. You're doing it with a reason. You have a set amount of time that you're going to, let's say, be studying or practicing an instrument, or doing whatever activity that you're actually doing. And so when you're focusing on what you're actually doing, and you have that preconceived notion that you already established that for, let's say, 2 hours you're going to practice playing the piano, then when you're finalizing your finishing touches on your understanding of how you learn how to play the piano, or how you actually are trying to get this specific piece memorized, and you come across, minute 90 with only 30 minutes left, that you're at this breakthrough, and now somebody's calling you, or now there's something else that's going on in the background that totally derails you, and you have to think in that moment, what are you going to do that's going to enable you to stay locked in? Are you going to have a reason of, you know what, I've set a time my side and I have to respect my own time more than anybody else? Or are you going to say, well, it's only 30 minutes left, let me just finish this concentrated task at hand, and that's going to enable me to improve on what I desire. Because if you don't have a specific goal at hand, then how can you even want to have an outcome? If you don't have a specific outcome that you're desiring, then there's no way that you can get there. There's like a saying in the Dominican Republic that if you don't know where you're going, then you're already there. Si tú no sabes dónde tú vas, ya llegaste. You're already there if you don't know where you're going. So it's very important to have a specific goal set, a specific time frame set. Of course, that doesn't mean that you're robotic and you set your own algorithm, and if you deviate from that, then you're going against your own morals and values and whatnot. It's simply saying that what, for this time until this time, I'm going to set this specific time for this activity. And because you set that activity up, you're going to give yourself the ability to stay focused, or you're at least going to increase the likelihood. The other things, of course, you can put your phone on airplane mode. You can also take a lot of walks without having a physical device. I know it's crazy. You don't have to tweet or Instagram or post anything on the social medias that you're doing something. It's crazy to think that you can just bypass doing those kind of things without having an electronic. And as you increase your ability to be aware of your ability to be living in the present, essentially, then it becomes easier once you transfer those skills from being in the present more. It enables you to almost essentially be in the pocket. Like when you're playing American football and you're the quarterback, it enables you to stay locked in. You're in the right position and you're doing what you need to. And so, because you're doing what you need to, it becomes much easier to then not break that concentration. And before we dive deeper, I do want to remind you that this is an independent YouTuber, an independent streamer. I'm not funded by anybody except my own self. So if you find value in today's insights and today's podcast, please be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening to. Share the podcast with one person that you think would most benefit from hearing this perspective, and make sure to drop a like. You can drop a little comment too, give me a little feedback if you didn't like something, or you really like me to touch upon or dive deeper into a specific topic. Now, let's move on to our next cognitive powerhouse. We're going to discuss the memory. Memory is the backbone of exceptional gaming. From memorizing maps to recalling opponent strategies, a keen memory will set you apart. Now, there's individuals that are always asking what is the absolute best way to move forward as a gamer. They're thinking quick reflexes. I got to train in quick reflexes. I got to focus on all of these complicated mannerisms. You got to fixate yourself on the mechanical gameplay, the technical gameplay, when memory will indeed set you apart. When you think about professional athletes, a lot of these professional athletes have a crazy vivid memory, not just from quick scanning the field like in soccer, where you have to quickly glance up and be able to dribble. Same in basketball, in football, in rugby, in hockey, where you have to consistently acquire new information, a large, vast amounts of new information to quantify where everybody is on the field. And so when you do that on a consistent basis, when you're in the game, like let's say in League of Legends, always looking at your map, when you're aware of what your opponents are doing on a consistent basis, it becomes easier to come up with a counter strategy. You see, when I play chess, I typically play chess to have a counter strategy to whomever I'm playing against. I typically rarely start or play chess with a set strategy. I simply love having a counter strategy for whomever I'm playing against, because it is easier for me to take somebody else's momentum and essentially turn it against themselves, which is the whole process of a counter. And so when you have an exceptional memory, or at least a working in progress memory, it becomes much easier for you to make distinctions of what activity you should or should not do in the course of a game. especially if you remember those same activities you did, and if and when you failed, as well as how you failed, you start to remember, oh, I did this thing and it did not go that well for me. And so you remember in your head, okay, don't do it, or at least don't do it this way. Or you might start thinking, okay, what if I do it this way? What if I take this situation with this activity and I morph it into this brand new manner of tackling it head on? And you keep thinking about that. And of course, in games like a puzzle game, word game are amazing, even board games. It's only when it comes down to multiplayer games where you start to get even more complex A/B testing, when you start to get quantified results in a matter of microseconds, if not milliseconds. Well, it feels like that when you're playing in a high intense game like League of Legends, or even when you're playing basketball, where if you hesitate for half a moment, that could be the difference between getting crossed and the person that you're guarding scoring on you, or that could be the difference between you giving a nice crossover and leaving the person that's guarding you stuck. Because if you're able to notice what somebody else is doing, you're able to counter that very quickly. And if you're able to memorize what keeps going wrong, how you keep failing, then you can circumnavigate that and do new strategies, which, boom, brings me to the next and final segment, which is literally about strategic thinking, adaptability, and problem solving, because honing these cognitive abilities can transform you into a formidable foe in whichever world you're associated with, whether it's the gaming world, which is this initial A Gamer's Guide to Productivity. Because with these core pieces of information about how the world can work in your benefit, you can essentially prepare to level up your character, your in-game, in real life character. You can increase your intellect. You can increase your reflexes. When you sit down and you schedule out your time specifically, and you acknowledge the fact that if you keep doing this over and over and over again, you keep making yourself better at different activities, or you start to just really become a one trick pony at, let's say, public speaking or computer programming, web development, graphic design. When you decide to become a writer, a streamer, when you decide to become even a doctor, an artist, a producer, a officer, a office worker, a multi-level marketer, you know what I'm saying? Even a hunter, an environmental scientist, a biochemist, insert whatever profession that you currently hold or desire to achieve. Once you start focusing your time at those specific tasks, then you naturally get much more acquainted. You become much more experienced in it. You don't always get naturally better at it. I'm not saying that, because everybody is talented in different levels. So some people will increase their talent immediately, their talent or their skill in that specific field will increase within 5, 10, 15 minutes. Other people will need much more time. I still remember my physics teacher in high school describing that for every 1 hour in class of college, he had to do 3 hours of studying, and he took 15 hours. So that was 45 hours of studying on top of the 15 hours in class. That's the amount of thinking, of reviewing, of studying that is required sometimes if you don't have that ability to learn quickly. That's why there's no shame in starting something new. There's no shame in uh, failing at trying something, because if you have a good memory, if you're able to find the ability for you to focus on that particular task, then it's up to you to understand not just how you can use that skill set to fit into your life, into your game. If you're able to be very adaptable, if you're able to plug and play certain actions, certain thoughts, certain mindsets that are going to enable you to find much more success in that specific field, why wouldn't you add that to your arsenal of tricks? Like you can't teach a dog new tricks. Well, if you're not 120, you're still young enough, in my personal opinion, to try to learn something, try to incorporate something. It could be something as simple as gardening a different way, or it could be something much more advanced like learning comp plus, getting that certification, or doing something nice for somebody for a change, and then just fixating yourself on that positive endeavor and how that's going to impact somebody. you know there's so many things that you can use to learn something and incorporate that into how you do things. And especially if you dedicated so many hours into gaming, why wouldn't you try to take your skill set and employ it in real life? Like if you were a carpenter in a game or a farmer in a game, like why aren't you doing this in real life? I know it's not the same, but you start off with a higher base than individuals that don't have any information. Like same with if you watch comic books or TV shows, manga, etc., that is touching a particular thing, like even murder mysteries. Like why wouldn't you try to go into being a police officer or a private investigator or things of that nature? Like you are picking up skills naturally in your downtime, in your hobbies. You can have your hobbies make money for you. That's all I'm saying. And then in terms of gaming, you can take the way that you play a game, and then if you're a high level, high elo, you can try to transfer that skill set to a different game. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying I'm the best, I'm the greatest. I'm saying I simply like that mindset, and I'm taking this opportunity and this platform to provide that mindset. And if you have anybody that you would love to see on this platform with me, communicating, getting asked questions about what they did in their particular gaming careers or gaming situation, or even in their business that has some sort of gamification, feel free to drop a comment below. If you're watching on a live stream like Twitch, Kick, or whatever, and you want to drop a comment as to who you think would be a great individual for me to interview, you can just drop a comment on the at Nico Pengin channel on YouTube, because I truly think that with the increase of popularity of gaming, with now more people seeing a correlation to finding out that they can get better over time on almost anything, like literally on some matrix level um computerization or some Sims level computerization, that you can just get better over time if you focus on what you're doing, you prepare beforehand, you jot out how you're going to do it, when you're going to do it, why you're going to do it, and that's going to enable you, so that way in that moment where you need unwavering concentration, you can stay locked in and focus, enter the zone, so to speak, of whatever you're doing at hand. Remember the things that you need to do in order to progress, in order to get better, and then make sure that you're adapting to that situation. If you're trying to improve rankings in league, if you're trying to improve your basketball playing skills, your public communication skills, if you're trying to improve your negotiation skills, your insert whatever life skill that you're trying to improve on, if you make sure to stay focused and locked in and do it on a consistent basis, and consistent doesn't mean every single day, by the way. That's something else individuals get twisted. It just means being consistent. What I mean by that is, if you have the ability to do it every day, then do it every day. Some individuals are incapable of being consistent in what they're trying to learn. And so they have to do it every other day, or every other day, once a week, even once a month. If you're unable to read a book, it's very hard to force somebody to read 100 pages in a day. Very, very hard. Now, for somebody who enjoys reading, it could almost be punishment to only read 1 page a day. And yet, for that individual who has a hard time reading, 1 page a day is the maximum amount that they're able to read. And so when we start focusing on where we are and where we want to be, and we use that focus to improve our game plan, our strategy, so to speak, it becomes much easier to make progress exponentially. That's what I'm saying. And so I would like for my followers, viewers, anybody who finds this valuable to understand that if we each take the time out of our day to understand what we put our time into, we can use that to quickly increase our skill sets in other areas of our lives. And so if you enjoyed that, if you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for more valuable insight. Make sure to refer this or share this with one person, not two, just one person that you think would tremendously value understanding that their huge amount of hours that they piled into something, aka an otaku. I don't know how to say that in any other languages. Those that watch anime, read manga. If you know an otaku, somebody who just dives 1,000 hours into anything, and they feel that they don't know how to get things done or how to transfer those skills into IRL jobs that will actually pay them a meaningful salary, finding purpose, finding joy in what they do, and still having the 9 to 5 cover, send them my way because I am trying my absolute best to explain that just because you dived into a lot of hours into a specific area doesn't mean that what you did was worthless. No, it is very worthy. You just have to think, how can I make this function? So connect on nicopengin.com, at Nico Pengin on YouTube, at Nico Pengin1 on Instagram, Twitter, or X. I think that's it. And yeah, Facebook too. At Nico Penguin One, at Nico Penguin One, Twitter, at Nico Penguin One, Instagram. As I wrap up this solo session, please remember that your mind is your most potent gaming asset. Apply these insights, embrace the power of cognitive enhancement, and witness the transformation in your gaming experience. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please like, comment, subscribe for more gaming wisdom, more gaming conversation, especially if you really liked it. Again, share it. Till next time, this is Nico Penguin signing off. Game on and level up those minds. Have a great